Welcome back to the Chit Chat and Crochet podcast. Today what we're going to be talking about is creative blocks. I don't know whether you're like me, but I'm a bit type A. I've got to have lots of different pans cooking and I work on loads of different things. I've always got to have a side mission going on. I'm all about the side missions. So sometimes what happens is I take on way too much. I genuinely think that I can do absolutely everything, and I always say I've got like all these different plates are all spinning and I'm trying to keep them all moving in one go. Now that can be really stressful. It can be really stressful, and what can happen is you can get burnt out, and burnout is something about every 6 months I tend to experience some kind of burnout where I feel like I just can't do anything anymore. And I thought what I'd do is I'd talk to you guys today about creative blocks, burnout, that kind of thing, and how I overcome those. So I thought what we'd do today is we'd talk about my coping strategies. What do I do when I'm starting to feel that burnout, those creative blocks coming? And if you're experiencing anything like this, maybe hopefully me sharing this, it'll make you feel less alone and maybe give you some strategies if you're struggling. So if you've never ever tuned into one of my videos, my name is Stephanie Mitchard. I crochet, I paint, I do all different types of crafts. And this is our little corner of the internet where we talk about all those different things. Wednesdays, we have our Chit Chat and Crochet podcast. And on Sundays, we have our craft project of the week. We have an amazing community here. We always do a premiere video so we can have that live chat function where we all meet up. And we also have the Facebook group, Stephanie Mitchard's Craft Group. So if you want to join that community, head on over to Facebook or just come meet us either at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday or 10 a.m. on a Sunday. Now, also just before I get into like the meat of the video, I want to talk about a few other things as well. So number one, August. August I have dubbed Whimsy Goth Summer Month. It makes me so excited because I've never done like a themed like thing before. Obviously, I've only really been uploading since last November and just like consistently uploading and doing like the crochet and the crafting and all that kind of stuff. So I thought what a fun way of kind of pushing myself and pushing the channel is kind of doing this themed month. Now, if you've been watching the videos, you know that your girl is all about the autumn. Summer is not really my jam. It really isn't. And we are coming off the back of a very hot July weekend. Oh my goodness, it was so warm. Today is a little bit, it's still warm, but it's still kind of cloudy, and I kind of feel like what we need to do is just ease into the autumn. What happens is I get myself so excited and I let the time just go past, and you know what, I'm not going to do it this year. We're going to enjoy the summer, and how we're going to do that is by celebrating August as Whimsy Goth Summer Month. So each video is going to be themed. I actually did a whole video on this, which I'll link down below so you can go and have a little look and see what the program is, what we've got happening. But the big thing that I wanted to talk about was the crochet along. We are going to be making a celestial crochet granny square bag using the pattern from Yeezy. I will link Yeezy's channel down below with also the details of that free pattern as well. There's also a pattern that you can buy. The pattern that they've put out is a grid pattern. If you need a written pattern, you can actually go and purchase their online pattern on their website. I'll link everything down below for that. Also, if you want any of those kind of printouts that I made, if you go to the Facebook group, they are all on there. Or if you haven't got Facebook and you want them, my email address is in the notes and I can email them over to you. So we'll be starting that granny crochet along on the 27th of July. That is when we're starting. What we're going to do is 1 week, we're going to make 8 stars. Next week, we're going to make, I think it's 8 moons and 8 suns. Then week 4, we assemble ready for the very end of August. And if you would like your bag featured in that video, which goes out on the 31st of August, make sure you send me the pictures of your granny square bag by the 25th of August. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about just before we start the video is there's actually a Granny Square event happening at A Modern Yarn. It's going on the 23rd of August, Saturday, 23rd of August, 10 till 3 p.m. It's going to be a vibe of just like come, sit, crochet. Michaela's going to have different patterns that people are doing. So if you would like to come and talk all things Granny Square, Come down to a Modern Yarn Saturday the 23rd of August. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And you'd actually get to go to see a Modern Yarn and hear what I've been talking about how amazing this shop is. And you get to meet Michaela. And you'll also get me because I'm going to be there the whole day. So it's going to be so amazing. So hopefully I will see you there. Right, so creative blocks. Oh, this happens quite a lot. Now for me, one thing I find really, really inspiring is doing YouTube. That's one thing that actually like really pushes me to create. That is one of the main reasons why I do this channel, is because it gives me a plan. I always need to be working towards something. If I'm not working towards something, I feel like I'm just coasting throughout life. I need something to be like stressing about. That's just the way my personality is. So I know what I am actually making until October. That's my plan at the moment. I tend to plan things about 3 months ahead. So I kind of see, you know, what am I going to make? What do I want to make? What are we going to be kind of working on? Because in November, that's when I'm going to start working on Christmas things, because you need to give yourself obviously time to get the Christmas things done. So I'm constantly looking at my little charts, looking at my calendar, and always like writing things down. So that is something that I find really, really helpful to kind of get the creative juices flowing, making a plan. Now, obviously, I'm talking from a YouTube standpoint where I'm thinking about really far ahead in time, but maybe for you, maybe it's more of let's make a list of all the different things that I want to make. One tool that I find really, really useful is Pinterest. It can be overwhelming, but if you make your little boards to be, I don't know, say granny square cardigans, and you put them all in there and you look and you think, right, I'm going to make a blue and white granny square cardigan. That is what I'm going to make. Then you look at your calendar and you think, right, when am I going to do this? And you just kind of plan and base off that. You can also look obviously around families' birthdays. You can think about obviously the holidays and try and plan that into your calendar. So that's one big thing for me. That's where I always start, is planning out and getting the kind of ideas and the juices flowing. And that's the thing as well, like with crochet, it is a repetitive action. And that repetitive action, that can get really monotonous. It can get really quite tiresome. And I think it can get quite tiresome quite quickly. So another good thing is having multiple projects on the go. The way that I do that is I always have something that's like a difficult project. So something that's quite like needs a lot of focus, needs a lot of concentration. I always seem to have like a bit of a large project on the go as well. Something that is, I can't really cart it round. It might be something that's going to be taking me a very long time to complete, so it tends to stay in the home. And then I always have something that is small that I can throw into my bag, that I work on the train, work on while I'm commuting, working while I'm out and about. I don't ever have more than 3 projects in my roster at one time, because I think that can become a little bit overwhelming. Now, do I have a box of whips that I have started and haven't completed? Of course I do. Of course I do. I think we all have that box. I think another good thing for maybe like the creativity is revisiting those whip boxes, going through those whips, the ones that you've abandoned, and looking at it and thinking, right, okay, am I going to complete this? Is this something that I am going to go back to? Or should I just frog it and use that wool that I fell so in love with to start this amazing project that's kind of gone to the wayside, and I can use it for something else? So going back to the 3 projects, so I have just completed the hardest project that I have ever done. It's not completed as in like completely finished, but I've completed the panel, and most of you'll know what I'm talking about, and it is this. This is the Libra tapestry that I have been working on. This has taken over 44 hours of work, and it has been the bane of my life. Oh my gosh, it has been so difficult doing this project, and I finished it this weekend. I am very, very proud that I've managed to get this finished. But again, this was such a challenge, and I think it's so important to pick something that is going to push your skill level. But one thing I will say about this is this actually really got me down, and because it was so difficult and I was trying to obviously do it with a deadline on top, I think if I didn't have a deadline, it would be something that I would be picking up and being like, right, okay, I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to do one row a day, which I think is probably manageable that I was doing more than 1 row a day on this, and it was just sending my head west. I was doing minimum 2 rows a day because I really wanted to get this finished. This is 100 rows. This is 100 rows. Some days I didn't work on it, some days I did work on it. But yeah, I could see that deadline approaching and thinking this is never going to end. It felt at one point here, this section, I felt like I was here for a very long time. Obviously, as soon as I started getting to here, I started going really, really quick because there's less colour changes. But when I was like really in the thick of it in this section, I felt like my life was like not going anywhere. And I found that really, really stifling. What really helped was that I'm also making a wraparound cardigan. That is what I'm going to be making to cut, so basically for August. And this, because it's literally just panels of double crochets, I have just been throwing this in my bag, and this has been my commuting project. So this is the back panel. It's 110 stitches per row, and it's just, again, just repetitive, going back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, back and forwards. Now, because this was so difficult to do, I haven't actually had another project kind of in the mix. I've really been focusing on this. Now, because I've now completed the panel, what I'm going to start working on is a amigurumi cat. I want to do a little cat in a witch's hat. And that is going to become my little project that when I'm sitting down and watching the television, I'm going to be sitting there and making that little cat up, because it needs a little bit of extra concentration. There's little tiny little fiddly little pieces. So rather than carrying that and taking that with me on the train, where I might have to be using scissors to cut yarn off and stuff, I've just decided that that is going to be a home project. So I'm going to be starting that today. This is going to be getting popped back in my bag to work on the train tomorrow. So currently on the go, the whips that I'm consistently working on is I've got the cardigan. I need to finish stitching the bag together. I need to do the amigurumi cat, and I'm also working on a temperature blanket. Now, the temperature blanket, I've actually found that really, really inspiring, because again, it gets you out of the kind of control. You don't know exactly what you are going to be producing. Oh, here comes Tilly. Hi, Tilly. Come here, baby. Come say hi to everybody. Come here. Come here. It's Tilly, everyone. Little old girl. She's having a haircut this week. I am so excited to show you all what she's going to look like once she has her haircut. Oh, I love her. She's like my little sheep. So the temperature blankets, this is the first year that I've ever done a temperature blanket, and I feel like creatively it's quite nice not really knowing what you're going to end up producing. So that could be a really fun way to kind of get some inspiration. There's loads of different ways that you can do these kind of like month or yearly blankets. You people do temperature blankets. You can do the hot, you can do the cold, you can do the average. At the moment, I'm doing the average. You pick your colours, and then the weather decides how you are arranging those, which I just think is absolutely fascinating. I have seen as well that people have also put the types of weather for different stitches. So, you know, if it's raining, you might do a pom-pom stitch. If it's frosty, you might do a granny stitch. I think that is really fun. So maybe for next year, I might be kind of upping my game a little bit with that one and getting this really fun, like textured blanket, which I think could be really, really cool. So that could be another way if you're kind of feeling a little bit like, oh, I don't know what to make, I don't know what to do. Maybe doing like a temperature blanket or something like that. Doesn't necessarily have to be started at the very, very beginning of the year, but it could be something that you could just maybe pick up. You could do a granny square for 1 month, like maybe your birthday month, and make a pillow out of it. That could be really, really cute. So the 2 tips that I've had so far are planning, making sure that you're planning out what you're doing. I think also, again, making sure you have multiple projects on the go, but not too many that you can't handle it. So that way, when you're changing up, when you're getting bored of one, you can move on to the other. And having a project where maybe some of the decisions are taken away for you, that can really keep you fresh. Now, another thing for me, if I'm kind of feeling like a bit of a creative block, is thinking about mood boards. For me, writing down different things that inspire me. Like the idea that I got for the Whimsy Goth Summer Month literally came from this drive and this need where I feel like I rush through the summer, and I try to think about like what kind of things make me feel giving me the autumn vibes because I get to feel cozy, I get to feel spooky, I get to feel witchy. And I try to think about how can I emulate that into a summer project, and that is where I got the idea for like the whimsy goth. I love like whimsy goth aesthetic, and I thought, right, how can I then translate that into the things that I'm creating? And I think that is the flow of like how maybe if you are feeling like a bit of a creative block, starting about how you want to feel, what is going to bring me joy, what is going to spark happiness for me, and going from there and seeing what you can kind of come up with. Another really good idea as well is if you are feeling a bit of a creative block, if you go onto YouTube and look at different crocheters doing sort of videos, like inspiration videos. There are so many creators that do videos where it's like talking about like 50 best images of the summer crochet projects, or what are the current crochet trends, and they break down all these different ideas. So instead of looking through Pinterest, someone's already done that for you and curated a bit of a mood board, and that can also be really, really inspiring. Something that I do as well in terms of getting inspiration for crochet projects is I don't actually even look at crochet. I have been out and about and I've seen like a top and I've taken a photograph of it, or a jumper, and think, right, I'm gonna make something like this. I really like this, but I'm thinking I can try and make this in a crochet kind of vibe. So looking outside of those crochet circles, don't just look at crochet, look wider than that. I've even done it before where there was a girl in work and she was wearing this really, really lovely jumper, and I literally took a picture of her sleeve because I loved the colour combinations and I loved the pattern, and I was thinking, right, how can I make this in crochet? So it's always just keeping your eye out and looking around. Don't just think crochet has to stay crochet. Think about the things in your life, in your world, that could also be translated into a fibre art. Now, obvious things as well, if you're just feeling overwhelmed in any way, the best thing for you to do is to just take a step back. Sometimes for me, the only thing that will work is if I put the crochet down and I go and take myself out into nature. I love going for walks. Walking is a very big passion of mine. I just need to go for a walk sometimes, and sometimes it's just walking. It helps you clear your mind. I will put my little audio book on and I will just wander and wander and wander, maybe not necessarily going anywhere. Take this one with me. We like going to the beach, we love going down to Formby and walking on Formby Beach. That's something that brings us a lot of happiness. So sometimes just going out and getting into nature, that can just be a really beautiful reset. Another thing as well is, say for instance, if you are feeling like crocheting but you don't want to crochet, oh, you're gonna go down, Till. Oh, bye bye, Tilly. So another thing that can be really helpful if you're still feeling like you want to crochet but you don't want to do one of these projects, like say for instance, I've been working on that Libra project and it's been months. Sometimes just having something small, having a project that you can sit and finish in one sitting, that can be really, really good for a reset. So some ideas for that is granny squares. Imagine if you're just seeing a granny square where you're thinking, I really think that granny square looks amazing, I just want to have a little try. Or having a little look at different types of stitches and just trying different stitches and moving and pushing and seeing what you can come up with. So maybe having a little look and seeing, maybe on Pinterest, put in, 1 hour projects. A good little 1 hour projects are cup cozies. I always find a cup cozy to be a really good kind of little thing where you can finish something from start to finish. It's practical, it's useful, and you always need to have them. There's always something I need. I love going and getting coffee when I'm out and about, and I always need to have a cup cozy. There's nothing worse than when you're walking and you've got a really hot burning cup of coffee in your hand and you just want something just cozy, just to kind of take a little bit of that sort of heat away from your hands. You can throw them in your bag. They make amazing presents. Also things like wine bottle covers, if you want to do stuff from start to finish, they're always something handy to just have in the cupboard. If you go into a party, you need a cute gift, you run, you get a bottle of wine, put the wine bottle into that lovely little sort of covering, and it makes it look like a really beautiful host gift. So things like that, where you're thinking practical, it can be done in an hour, let's just throw that in the cupboard, that can be really, really refreshing. Sometimes as well, just taking a step back and just having a cup of tea, for me, genuinely, just talking about cup cozies, thing for me, a little reset, is just, right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have a cup of tea, I'm gonna have a biscuit, and then I'll just like crack back on, just stepping away from the project, just resetting with a biscuit and then coming back. That could be so helpful. And I think probably the last thing that I can probably suggest for creative blocks and resetting is trying a different craft. Now that could literally be maybe going from crochet, going to knitting. Maybe it's just putting the yarn down completely and doing some drawing, doing some painting, and just stepping back from that for a moment and saying, right, I'm just going to change directions altogether. You're still doing something creative. You've still got that creative outlet, but in a less kind of stifling way. For me, recently, like, I've been feeling very kind of pressured from myself, because there's lots of things that I'm taking on at the moment. My biggest reset at the end of the day will always just be spending time with my family. This last few weeks I've been quite stressed. There's just been a few little bits and bobs, things that I've been doing. I've committed myself to quite a lot of different things, and Saturday was such a huge reset for me. I sat in the garden with Red and Jackson. We got Jackson a paddling pool because that's all he's been asking for. Got him a paddling pool. We put all his sea creatures in it. I was sitting under my apple tree in the shade, finishing off that Libra panel. Red was sitting with me, he was reading, and we just had a really lovely family day. So sometimes, even if it's not like your family, even if it's your friends, just going and just spending some quality time with each other, whether that's playing a board game, whether it's just watching a movie together, just talking to your friends and talking to your family, that can be such a huge reset. So I really hope that some of these things have helped you. I know that sometimes it can be really difficult, and I know that, like, as crafters, it's like we're doing this as a hobby and it should be a thing that relaxes us, but sometimes when it's our passion and we want to progress, it can be really stressful. And I used to feel a lot of guilt about that, and I used to think, like, why am I doing that? Why am I putting myself under all this pressure? And the reason is because I love what I do and I want to get better at what I'm actually doing, and I want this to be as perfect and as amazing as I possibly physically can do it. So don't feel bad if you do put those pressures on yourself, because I have carried that guilt for a while, and I'm like, no, it's something I'm passionate about, and not everything in life is just going to be roses. So I hope that some of those coping strategies have helped you. So planning out your year, having 3 projects on the go, or as many as you can handle, having a long project where some of maybe the creativity, those decisions are taken away from you, getting out in nature, spending time with family, or just trying a whole new craft. So I hope those tips have helped you, because that is what I do when I'm feeling really kind of creatively bogged down. They're my little coping strategies. So if you're feeling like that, I really hope that this has helped you. So if you've liked this video, make sure you give us a like, make sure you give us a subscribe. Come and join us for Whimsy Got Summer Month and our crochet along. Go over to the Facebook group, all the information is there, and I'll link this all down below. Also, I hope that I'll see you on the 23rd of August at A Modern Yarn for that amazing Granny Square crochet event. And if I don't see you then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.